Hey guys, how's it going? This is BillyEatWorld, and today we're going to be talking about a few things that I think are really important for a stealth playstyle in Battlefield 4. Now, it's pretty obvious how few players are really good at this kind of playstyle. It's almost as if people think that playing the objective means running in guns blazing, which isn't always the best tactic. A stealth loadout can be pretty effective on any map and any game mode, but on larger and denser maps, a good stealth player or squad can be a game changer. So for you guys who don't ever try out a stealth playstyle, here's a few tips to get you started. My first point is that you really need to understand that positioning and movement is the most important thing when you're trying to stay undetected. The entire point of running a stealth loadout is to maneuver undetected into a position where you have an advantage over the enemy, so if this isn't your first priority, then it should be. The human eye is able to see a moving target much easier than a stationary one, so generally speaking, the slower that you move, the more concealed you'll be. This is assuming that you have something to be concealed by, so moving in dense areas is always going to be much safer than running across open areas. The trade-off of moving in areas with lots of concealment is that it also gives your enemy somewhere to hide. You can avoid this problem by not using high traffic lanes or by running with the recon class, which has gadgets that can detect enemy players. Another very important thing to remember is that firing your weapon, whether suppressed or unsuppressed, is a good way of getting noticed. If you damage an enemy without killing them and they survive long enough to spot you, every enemy around you will be able to see exactly where you are. Sometimes the best course of action is to hold your fire until you're 100% sure that you can eliminate an enemy, and even then there's still a lot of reasons why you might want to leave them alone. Being able to weigh up the pros and cons of every potential shot will save your life countless times if you can learn to do it right. Another really important key to a good stealth playstyle is an appropriate loadout. As I mentioned before, the recon gadgets that detect enemy players are a great choice for a stealth loadout. The spawn beacon is also useful to help your team members to spawn behind enemy lines, but unfortunately these gadgets aren't available to all kits. Smoke grenades, flashbangs, and the launchers that fire these types of rounds are pretty useful for creating temporary concealment and distracting the enemy, and are something that all of the classes have access to. Honestly, if you're not a person who gets a lot of kills with grenades and gadgets, then you might as well run with one of these options, because once you learn to use them effectively, they can be very useful. Claymores and C4 are also a good way of taking out enemy players without giving away your location. Obviously, they're a bit more passive than a gun, but they can be very useful in the right situations. The most important choice that you'll make for any loadout though is your primary and secondary weapons. Generally speaking, a PDFO stealth loadout will require a relatively fast firing weapon which is not completely useless at long range. You need to be able to easily neutralise enemies before they can detect you, so something relatively accurate, reliable and with a high DPS is ideal. This rules out most of the PDWs and a lot of the LMGs, although there are some notable exceptions. My preferred stealth weapons in each category would have to be the M416 assault rifle, ACE-21 carbine, the SKS DMR, AWS light machine gun and the AS Val PDW. In every case, you'll want to run these weapons with a suppressor, and you'll want to avoid using the laser or a light if you're someone who forgets to turn it off when you don't need it, as they'll both give your position away. The same rules apply to sidearms, and once again I'd pick something which fires a little bit faster like the 93R or the G18. And my last tip for today's video is to be self-sufficient. Once you finally do position yourself behind or on the flank of an enemy team, there's a good chance that you'll be outnumbered and have little support from your own team. It's in your best interest to stay alive as long as possible, to be a mobile spawn point for your squad and to do as much damage to the enemy team as you can. This means caution is the name of the game, and that expecting the unexpected is the best mindset to be in. Running out of ammo can also be a big issue when in a flanking position, which brings me back to my earlier point of weighing up the pros and cons of every shot. Sometimes you're better off waiting for a better moment to strike rather than wasting a mag on one player off in the distance, because there may not be a support player nearby to top you up. But anyway, to finish up this video, are these the only things that you need to remember when playing a stealth loadout? Well, of course not, but they do help me, and hopefully they'll help you guys too. A stealth loadout isn't appropriate in every situation, but when it is, slapping on a suppressor and flanking the enemy can often be one of the most effective ways to help your team and one of the most enjoyable experiences in the game. So get off those choke points on locker and run snow for a change, because you might just enjoy it. But anyway guys, that's it, and as always, if you like what you see, please remember to like, comment and subscribe. And if you haven't already, please check out all my other Battlefield 4 videos. I've got them all linked in a playlist in the description below. And if you have any suggestions for weapons or loadouts that you'd like to see in upcoming videos on this channel, then feel free to let me know in the comments of this video or send me a tweet on Twitter at BillyEatWorld. But until next time guys, see you later and have a good one.